This is your current race standings leader after having a very good showing, gaining her first race win at Long Beach, which was a silent stream because we were experimenting with stuff, but I have come to realize that having commentary is actually really nice. Anyways, this is Ori in the number 34 Android TV car, and after that win, she has taken her way up to the top standings of Formula Brash after five races. She just, from beginning to end, she took the pole and she led every lap of the Long Beach Street Circuit. But now Ori will be facing a new challenge coming up against the second Tokyo track that we will be facing in this season and the third race of the 2018 Formula 1 calendar, the Shanghai International Circuit. Opened in the early 2000s, it played host to a lot of great things. Plus you gotta take note of some of its, despite it having many sharp turns like Tokyo tracks are kind of known for, it does have some very interesting challenges, such as the turn 1 decreasing radius turn that all of a sudden flips. You also gotta take note of the launch that goes off right before the longest straightaway down on the south side. 2 DRS zones in this, but we won't be using DRS in these races because I'm such a scrub. The number two car of Kaz seems to be leading the way, but let's go on board with Ori so we can see a full lap of the Shanghai International Circuit. Here's the turn 1 section I was talking about, the one that's only flips over while you're turning, so while you're balancing that brake, it's really hard to all of a sudden switch over to turn 2. Passing by the DHL signs going into a pretty shoddy sharp right turn. Then we are entering Herman Toki's signature, another fake Maggot and Beckett section. This one's not quite as bad as the one in Circuit of the Americas. We'll get to it when we're up there. This is the version in NASCAR Racing 03 season is also a very outdated version because if you go to the smaller circuit today, there are weird statue signs at where those empty grandstands up ahead are. As Ori passes underneath the Vodafone signs for another set of sharp turns, such as this one, and then this one which you've also got to navigate. Now this turn is quite the challenge because it's a gradually increasing radius one, so you have to be careful about how you bounce the throttle, running a good line, and then here's one of the longest straights on the Formula 1 calendar, making that turn, I just explained with the increasing radius, so much more important. Once you're to the end of that, it's a sharp braking point to to probably the sharpest turn in the course. Then just another left-hander there to get into the DRS zone, and well, that is your lap of Shanghai. I have no idea what the heck is going on with the building there. Herman Tokyo really likes to make his grandstands look super nice, even though no one really cares about how the grandstands look. They care more about the track and if the track racing is good. Now this year's Formula 1 season was able to hold a very good race at the Shanghai International Circuit, but will we have a good one here? I am Jim, and this is Formula Brash, exclusive to the Brash Sports Motor Series and Brash Sports. Let's get to qualifying. Who will be our pole sitter today? It is Zoom. Not a lot of time spreads out your front set, but across your front, Zoom is gonna be taking that pole. Kaz sitting right next to him. These are some very close times. The gap being just an eighth of a second. It was really surprising to see everyone actually complete their laps because when I was testing out this course, not everyone was able to do that. Let's get to the race now.
Drivers.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Take a nice deep breath, buddy. Settle in, relax.
Getting ready for 14 laps with the Shanghai. Getting ready for 14 laps of the Shanghai International Circus. The pace car's gonna lead them for your pacing lap. Your front row today, you got Zoom starting off this race on the pole, and alongside him is Kaz. In the second row, you've got Ori on the left side, followed right beside is Diavolo. Going to the third row, Dio had a pretty good qualifying, as Diavolo gets fairly close, but here's Dio with a fairly good qualifier, and Frogtron will try catch up and stay in that third row. Right behind him, you've got Gotch making a top 10 appearance. Right beside him, Akko. Nurat and PPP are starting right next to each other. That I believe is your top 10, as the pace car's gonna come off very soon, and we're gonna start the Shanghai Grand Prix. Boogity boogity boogity. Let's go red racing, boys. Frogtron and Gotch are still side by side, as also, in fact, Dio and Diavolo are still right beside each other. Kaz and Ori still next. A lot of these drivers are going side by side into the first turn, and Zoom looks like he's gonna try to go away with it. Ori now having the barrel launch ahead of Kaz. Kaz just kind of lagging behind, but he's gonna have the inside for the next turn. Ori will have to find some speed coming out. They're still side-by-side racing between second and third place, while Zoom just tries to zoom away with the lead, as Ori looks like she's gonna come out in front and try to take a second place pole. Kaz in third place. Let's start going back the ways. Frogtron, Gotch. A bunch of them are starting to go single file, but meanwhile we've got Sanic running alongside PPP. Sanic trying to tell him to play Richard Burns Rally, but PPP still trying to get a launch. PPP going right behind Nerad. Nerad just defending that position well. So here you've got Sanic, and then Sanic, Rob Boss, Oreo. You got Maria, who was just a little bit of the road just now. Not really a whole lot going on around here in terms of interest. Zoom is just far ahead of the racing now. Just a really good start off of the pacing lap, while meanwhile Ori is right behind, and Ori looks to be making some good gaps as well. Getting into the final turn, so we can complete this first lap. Ori just spins around, and meanwhile Zoom is just far ahead. One more easy left-hander as we're starting to become single file. Now that the first lap is done, it's all gonna become a race about strategy. Who can stay awake the longest for most of this race? As Nurad has taken the sleep away now, and there's your top 10 rounding us off. We've got Zoom in the front, Ori in second place, Kaz, and then who's number 20? Dio, who's gone ahead of Diavolo, Frogtron, Gotch, Akko, Nurad, and PPP. That is your top 10, with Sanic just sitting at the 11th spot. So now's the part of the racing where we begin to go quite single file, which is all really great. Looks like Dane is running a pretty close race. Dane is sitting back in his actual crap car, running at around number 24. It's always the backsides of these races that will have the closest racing. Meanwhile, you've got D-Dog trying to go to the inside of FBN, and I think D-Dog is actually just trying to defend his position from FBN. FBN is running fairly close behind him as we get into the fake Magnus and Beckett section. D-Dog is going a little bit into the grass. FBN is just trying to stick it with him behind him, however. Battling for 22nd place for a bunch of these drivers going towards the back, it's either you go hard or you just stay with the 5 points that you're gonna be getting anyways. As we come into this sharp turn here, they'll turn around and get ahead, and I believe D-Dog is gonna be defending his spot at 22nd place, with Dane running just behind of FBN. That looks like it's gonna be your second lap. We'll skip back ahead to Ori, who's No, wait, no. Let's not go to Ori. Let's go to Gosh, who looks like he's trying to deal with some stuff with Akko on his tail. This is a fairly good battle for 7th place, but it looks like Gosh is gonna get the lead ahead. But that first turn can be quite the challenge to deal with. How will Gosh defend that little section? Akko coming into the first turn, the gradually decreasing radius of turn 1 at Shanghai International. Gosh looks like he is defending it well, so we're not gonna be getting a pass here. Ori's actually running it fairly close behind Zoom, just under the second mark. From the way this race usually goes, it's usually gonna be a one pit stop race, so don't expect a whole lot of chaos in terms of pits. But then again, we saw at Long Beach some of these guys were running two stop strategies, and that absolutely destroyed them, especially against the guys who are running one stop strategies. Meanwhile, let's try to see where our closest racing is happening. This is the go-ahead to Oricorio, who's staring ahead at the bumper of Zoom, but it looks like just a few number of car lengths. Ori might be able to overtake Zoom at some point for the lead. Let's check over our time scales to see where the closest racing is happening. Actually, let's follow Ori. Ori is running behind Zoom, and Zoom has just had a zooming start for this race, and I know that was such a terrible pun. Zoom just bursting up ahead. He's still really mad. He still seems to be mad about that MAV-TV 500. How he hasn't had a secure lead of the Drivers' Championship yet. But then again, we are fewer than 10 races into the Formula Brash season. No way are you gonna have control of the Drivers' Championship this early. As Zoom, no one looks to be around Zoom as we're starting to enter lap 4. Zoom is far ahead, and the time behind Ori is now expanded to the second. Kaz still holding about the same margin behind the leader. So is Kaz starting to make some gains, and not Ori, in fact. Meanwhile, let's look around to see where the closest racing appears to be happening. Take a look at the battle for. Let's take a look at the battle for P8 seems to be having a very good one, and 8th place is the one with a. Am I reading stuff right? Because apparently I'm not. I think I'm starting to go blind a bit. This is what racing does to you, and staring at a monitor for a very long time, you kind of begin to go blind. Nice. So it looks like we've begun to go choo-choo for a bit here, but let's take a moment to see how everyone in this race is standing in context. Zoom here. Well, he's still trying to catch up with that lead. Ori just a little bit behind, trying to keep the lead to herself. If she gets another podium appearance, I think that'll be just enough for her to protect it. She's got like a 7 or 8 point advantage over Zoom, but Ori's gonna have to step up for a good start on the next race. Kaz right behind Diavolo. Frogtron, that car has not done Frogtron any miracles. He should be further ahead in the listings, but Frogtron is just... There are so many things that just go wrong with Frogtron's car in every race, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him somehow outside of the top 20 because of something happening once again. Coming around the hairpin that comes up just after the tight straights. There's a beauty shot of the pace car. We're still looking for where that good racing seems to be going on, and that's the back of the line. So everyone is getting through the hairpin now, and Zoom's just about ready to start another lap of this Chinese Grand Prix. Will Zoom be able to keep it under control, however, because where has Zoom been in the last few races? He hasn't won a race in a while. He's been in the standings. Let's focus on another thing. Nerat, PPP, they're in the top 10 all of a sudden. They're usually runners around the top 20. How? Well, the thing is, though, because we're usually the only ones to show up, I give them a little boost. Don't tell anyone that. coming through the hairpin now. Meanwhile, Briganti. Oh my, Briganti. Briganti is holding a pretty good one in the number 11 Mystic car. Just coming around in 7th place. Top 10 finishes will do quite a good deed for the sports bar team. Let's look around the time frame to see where we could find some good racing. The ones who seem to be in the closest is the battle for 14th place. I believe that is between Jack Blaze and Hanazuki. Let's say, no, not Hanazuki, Maria Sweetie. Maria, where have you been since the MEV TV 500? Then again, I guess that was kind of a crapshoot of a race. So, crapshoot of a race, and normally you're just kind of around 15th place. Look at those. Look at those wheels float. Those are some magical wheels, indeed. Maria just trying to make some sweepers, going around back and forth, much like the rest of these cars in this race. The Chinese used to come up all the time to watch Michael Schumacher just run a defiant race around here. And not really racing. He would just dominate the race most of the time. That's what it looks like Zoom wants to do here. Let's take it on. Let's go on board with Zoom. Yes, Sanic. Now you can completely enjoy the sounds of bees. In the words of Nicolas Cage, no, not the bees. Not the bees. Out of my eyes. You can barely see Ori in the mirror even. It's just, well, you can see Ori when Zoom is going around for a turn, but that's about it. Ori's just trying to hold a good race here, but like Zoom is just expanding the margins. Kaz has actually run the fastest lap of the race so far, so that's kind of a shocker. Maybe Kaz is starting to close in on Ori. He is starting to close in on Ori, actually. That gap between himself and the leader has gotten smaller. Meanwhile, the gap between him and Ori has just gotten larger and larger. So is Kaz looking to take back that front line. Maybe get out of the hands of the burb. You know, Sanic, because you're the only one to speak in the comments so far, let's take a look at what your car is doing so far. I always mistake yours with MR and... oh, fuck, I can't remember. Capper. Environmental Rail Solution, and it's also a Honda. Which makes sense, I guess. There's Sanic running around in 11th place, just outside of the top 10, as I'd mentioned before, just trying to get ahead of the sports bar dudes of PPP and Nerad. We're starting to near the halfway point of this race as these guys come around the Toyota hairpin. Just running it fairly spread out right now. You can't afford to be making mistakes, and you gotta hope that your engineers brought a good car that will last you the entire way. Don't forget. Never forget and I believe it was the first race of the season where FBN's car just broke down. And that drew the only yellow flag of that race. Meanwhile, there were lots of yellow flags at the MAV TV 500, but God, we gotta stop gawking over how much of a good race that was. Coming outside of turn 1 into turn 2, as all these drivers are starting to put on quite the impressive one. Passing around the Bridgestone hairpin, one of 2 significant hairpins in this race so far. Move it back to Kaz, and I think Kaz is starting to lose a bit of the grip of the comeback effort they had going on Ori. It's like 0.7 seconds separate them. Actually, no, that he's actually bringing it closer because before I believe it was a whole second. Now it's just 0.7 seconds. Kaz really wants to make up for that bad start, but he's only got 7 laps, and he also has to think about the race off of pit road. But if his pit people can just put on a good pit for him, that he might actually have a good one. well, at the least, he is gonna be making a podium appearance, which is something that Dio really wants. Even though he's not running that far from Kaz, like, at all so far. Zoom coming around the Toyota hairpin. Just about ready to begin the 8th lap here. 8 out of 14. We're gonna make it, boys. We're gonna make it. I know these tracks are absolutely terrible, but you know, it's a thing. But now it looks like they're gonna be pulling onto pit road. Actually, they're gonna cut through the grass and pull onto pit road. Here they come through the pits. It looks like most of the race is gonna be coming through here. It doesn't look like anyone's gonna be staying out for this lap. Very interesting pit strategy, guys. Into pit lane. The cars will come. No one actually bothering to stay on the track so far. It's just everyone really needs that fuel and fresh tires. Sonico fuel and I believe it's Bridgestone tires that are powering IndyCar at this moment. As everyone's gonna pull onto their pits fairly safely, and by the time we get to that exit, let's keep the focus on Kaz, because I believe that Zoom will be the first one out, unless if Zoom has a surprisingly bad pit. You know what? He got his tires changed a long time ago. What is going on with Zoom's pit stop? And same thing goes for Kaz and Ori. What is going on? Meanwhile, someone in the back just pulls off really quickly, and that is the number 16 of Shadow. Shadow's gonna win the race off of pit lane by a freaking mile. And no one else has pulled off the pits yet. Here comes Zoom and Ori. Dio right behind him, so Kaz is gonna lose some places. Actually, Kaz is gonna stay in front of Dio. Dio trying to rush it out. I believe Kaz just was barely able to defend it. PPP fairly slow off the pits. Gonna lose that place to Sanic. Sanic will get ahead. I believe that will be a top 10. Meanwhile, Diavolo is still in the pits. Something happened with Diavolo. Something is going wrong with some of these pits. It's going wrong with some of these pits. Diavolo is just kind of parked in there as we speak, so he will be far behind as literally everyone else pulls off of the pits. Diavolo having to face lots of fixes. Now he's gonna come out, and he's gonna come out towards the bottom. Meanwhile, Shadow, the clear winner of the race off of pit road. That will be quite the jump, going from, where is Shadow, even 13th to the lead lap. And it might be tied between him and Zoom for who was able to lead the most laps, because everyone pitted halfway through the race. Wow, okay, so just behind him is Zoom, who's gonna blow yet another lead. Good job, Zoom. Ori has very little space to work behind Zoom, but that's a good thing, because Ori might be able to work up a pass. Here's a view of the gap that Zoom has to look at. Shadow is just far ahead. You can't even see him at the end of the longest straightaway. I believe within a few seconds, Shadow's actually gonna complete this lap way ahead of schedule, or at least Zoom's schedule. Sanic's now starting to run a fairly tight pit schedule. Hopefully he didn't make too bad of a risk on pit road. Getting 2 tires instead of 4. Oh wow, Shadow. Okay, Shadow, my man. That is a pretty fast lap right there. And meanwhile, that is gonna be quite the 5-second difference. 15 seconds, in fact. That's all that Shadow can basically just kick it into Sunday Drive. Congratulations, have the win at the Chinese Grand Prix, Shadow. Oh my God! Wow. That was some race off of pit road. We might not have a crash, but I'll certainly be speaking about this pit road incident quite a bit, as everyone else is still trying to get out of pit road here. The number 5 car was at 1.5 seconds behind the leader. Now it looks like he's gonna be over a minute behind the leader. Let's just go into the helicopter shot, see how spread out everyone is now. There's Shadow basically running by himself. Zoom, Ori, Dio, and Kaz. That will round out your top 5, top 10. Frogtron, Godge, Akko, Narad, and Sanic, who just squeezed into the top 10, beating PPP off the pit road, going side by side. That is your top 10. congrats Static on gaining a spot. Behind him, PPP, Capra, Oreo, Jack Blaze, and Maria. That's your top 15. Top 20. No, is that D-Dog? No, that is Squiscar, Nat, Sky, Capra, and D-Dog. That is your top 20. Top 25, we're looking at an FBN, a Lara more like, Lil King, Droid, and Lucy. That's your top 25. And your bottom 3 shittiest podium. Well, let's go from the back first. Emmer is running in the back. Dane, with his shit car, is running in the back. And somehow, Diavolo is running with a shit car. Clearly something went wrong with his car on the pit road, so he's just really far behind the rest of the race now. Bad things can happen on pit lane, but I didn't think anything that terrible was gonna happen. That was just absolutely atrocious. Lap 10, we are skipping quite ahead. I believe that by the time we reach where Shadow is, he'll be off of the turn 1. Yes, he is. Just far ahead. Wow, okay, so just some fairly single file racing as Backpack begins to get through the first turn. You know this, here's the view of Stanic's car, and you know what this calls for? A cranker of the uppity. Yes, we're gonna crank it up. I have done it, my guys. I've mastered the secret art of ASMR. Let's just get this race over with now. As I try to find the good decibels to put the desktop audio back onto, I guess we'll go with this. Santa, you gotta update me on whether or not the volume's good enough, though. Meanwhile, wow, okay, so just running 15 seconds ahead of Zoom. I don't think Zoom really has that much of a chance of closing the gap, especially since we've only got like 3 laps left, and Shadow is basically just running by himself. There's the pace car, obviously. Meanwhile, Ori's actually still keeping it pretty close behind of Zoom, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to really take back a lead or take back second place, because now Zoom isn't your leader. Shadow's all of a sudden your leader. Now I need to go back to Shadow for a moment. Where is Shadow even running in the current Formula Brash standings? Because we've seen how much 50 points plus a few bonus points can do for your standings. Maria made the jump. Zoom made the jump. Ori made the jump this early in the season to become the to become in contention for the drivers' champion. So currently, man, it'd be nice if I have the sheet ready to go on my phone. So currently, the Angel of Chaos is actually running in 6th place, having a 3rd place finish at whatever the second race is. I believe it was the Albert Park. So I mean, so with the 50 points, in addition, that that won't give Angel of Chaos exactly the lead, but man, those bees are hard work inside those F1 engines, yeah. IndyCar actually, but still. Just running around, I mean, there's just Shadow running around with the National Guard as a sponsor. I'll bring him like within maybe 20 points or so of, of contention, but oh yeah, thank you, Sanic. So pretty much, there's just nobody around Shadow, and in fact, we're just looking around trying to find where some good racing is going on, good low rubbing, but I believe these drivers are now very well spaced apart, as it is. Sanic is just surrounded by the sports bar. Man, Sanic, how do you... Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. Man, I love burping on stream. That is such a great feeling indeed. Backing up, let's see how the rest of the race is going. Doesn't look like anyone's really running it that close, or at least anyone of interest. Emmer's car is running a bit slow. Maybe that, that's probably just the result of Emmer's car. We've got to investigate that once this race is over. Obviously, there's the pace car, which is never gonna run. Diavolo, we have to talk. You ran like the third fastest lap of this race, but like... That pit, though. That pit really shot you down, didn't it? The pit lane can shoot down one person, but meanwhile, it can bring up another. Shadow! Geez, Shadow, you're already into the turn 1, turn 2 sections with 2 laps to go? Zoom is running like 15 seconds behind us, Shadow. There's no chance there's no chance really for Zoom to even come close. There is no one around Shadow. Shadow's basically just kicked this into the Thursday night drive mode. Could we call this an upset, though? Because Shadow was running in the top 10 of the series so far. Keep it scrolling around, keep it scrolling. Looks like Nurad's running close, but we all know that it's not that close at all. So let's compare for a bit. Just now we saw Shadow coming up into the hairpin section, the Bridgestone hairpins. A few seconds later, we see Emmer just crossing the line. That is what a minute worth of difference looks like. This is a minute worth of difference between first place and last place. It's just all of, keep in mind, it's 45 seconds between last place and second place. Shadow had an amazing pit. Just an amazing pit, and I believe that we should just be watching him like a hawk for the rest of this race to see if like, his pit strategy is really gonna work. Here's Shadow coming around the grandstands to the Toyota hairpin, pulling up around going back up there. Yeah, Twitch is generally a lot faster than the YouTube chat. I think Nurad found this out. Also in terms of streaming delay, Twitch is generally faster. Although I'm running this on Restream, I think, honestly, Twitch is a lot more reliable than YouTube Live. Well, here's a Cred 1 to go, and he's not gonna pull into the pits. He'll try to finish this lap with his crook AF pitting, going around the continually decreasing radius of turn 1, and then taking a quick left-hander into the second turn. Gotta come out there now, approaching the DHL signs, passing under Panasonic. Here's a straight, coming to DHL for the first hairpin of the Shanghai International Circuit, around the Bridgestone hairpin. Angel of Chaos will come and the Angel of Chaos will go underneath the Bridgestone signs, passing by this crowd who have seen how much of a difference pitting, a good pit strat can really make to your race. As he's coming by as the Angel of Chaos is coming around some grains of sand, those gravel traps can really get to you. Now Angel of Chaos pulling into another left turn. coming up close to like the halfway point of the lap. If he hasn't gone all the way halfway already, Vodafone signs right above, and now here comes the Angel of Chaos taking a sharp left before having to take a sharp right. And now for this challenging increasing radius turn that will lead onto the longest straightaway, and Shadow will just, this may be a long straightaway, but it will be a relaxing straightaway for Shadow. Looking ahead, there's no one in front of him. Looking behind him, there is no one right behind him. Shadow just running it very good in the Honda National Guard MI Jack number 16 black car. One more turn. He better not pull into the pits. As his name expresses, the Angel of Chaos has caused some chaos today at China, and he... One more turn. Not even gonna pit. And the Angel of Chaos has caused some chaos in China. He will win the Chinese Grand Prix of Formula Brash. Take that victory lap, Shadow. Meanwhile, here comes Zoom, just 15 seconds behind of Shadow, pulling up. Meanwhile, Ori is just behind him. Zoom will take him to second. Ori third place. Here comes Dio for fourth place. Cash is behind him for fifth. Really blew that front row spot. Frogtron sixth place. Finally a good finish for Frogtron. Finally a good finish for for Gosh as well, and also for Akko and for Nuran and for Sonic PPP just outside 11th place. Nice try. Oh, but just imagine how victorious the radio was going for. The radio was going for the Angel of Chaos right now. That was the pit lane of miracles for Shadow. The bootleg pit lane of miracles for Shadow. Just some miracles being worked in China today. Thank you, Red Racing. And there's Shadow with your win, just running it by himself. We gotta check the qualifying stats, however, to see if really anything happened to Emmer. Because when Emmer started the race, he was in 23rd, so I believe he was just running a slow car. I don't think Emmer was really getting bogged down by the car for a sec here, but dang, the Angel of Chaos, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't believe I know what the next race is. I gotta check for one moment what the next race is gonna be. I believe it's an IndyCar race, I think. We're going somewhere, that's all I really know. I think we're going to an oval hype. But meanwhile, from Brash Sports, this has been Jim. Congratulations to Shadow, the Angel of Chaos, on his first win.
Congratulations! 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 Quack, quack. Congratulations! 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 Congratulations!